MS whiteboard. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So can you see the whiteboard, which I shared already?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I am keeping the video off, my video off, so that your volume of your this file become less. Because some students already suggested me that to keep that video off so that it will be size will be less and it will help you to at the time of downloading. But my audio will be on as well as anyway I am going to use this MS whiteboard, this writing. So this is the this is the issues I discussed in last class. I started with demand, then we discussed about short run. Basically, we focused on short run. Then we move on to discussing law of demand, considering in short run as price the only variable. And while discussing demand, what I suggested you that consider yourself just like a consumer. You are a consumer. You are purchasing something in market. So in short run, when time period is very, very short, right now I'm analyzing demand, then your demand may be influenced by price. So accordingly, it may be linear relationship, it may be non-linear, and so and so. Accordingly, law of demand came into picture. That all other things are at certain level. When price of a particular commodity increase, quantity demanded decrease. When price decrease, quantity demanded increase. Then we discuss about exception to the law of demand, like given goods, gift item, future expectation of price rise, so and so. And related to given good, I already explained this with the help of these numerical examples. Then I also explained little bit about your consumer surplus. Consumer surplus means this triangle area. These indirectly represent your societal welfare. Consumer surplus is the at individual level. Consumers are paying as per market price. Suppose market price of a particular commodity is 10 rupee. But at individual level, I am ready to pay maximum 100 or 50 rupee in this example, maximum 50 rupee for that item. But right now I am paying as per, I'm making it a little bit big so that it will be visible. So suppose market price of a particular commodity is suppose 20 rupee, but at individual level, I am ready to pay maximum 50 rupee. Means if price even go up to 50 rupee, I am ready to purchase. Might be I have more money and so, or might be I am desperately looking for or something like that. So this is my maximum willingness to pay. 50 is the maximum willingness to pay, maximum limit. But like other consumer, I am also paying market price. Market price is 20 rupee. So for me, I am enjoying a situation just like 30 rupee surplus. Because I am ready to pay maximum 50, but I am paying 20. So I am enjoying a surplus of 30 rupee. Similarly, there may be another person who is ready to pay maximum amount is maximum willingness to pay for another person is 45 rupee, but he is also paying 20 rupee. So in his case, his surplus is 25 rupee. Third consumer, his surplus may be 20 rupees. So in that way, there may be n number of consumers. So if I add it up, and last consumer will be such consumer who is ready to pay exactly 20 rupees. So his surplus will be 0. As it is 20 rupee, he is purchasing. If it is even 20.5 rupee or 21 rupee, he or she will be out. He or she will not purchase. as it is exactly 20 rupee, his willingness to pay is also 20 rupee, he or she is purchasing. So in his case, surplus value is 0. But if I add it up, all the surplus value like 30, like 25, 20, 15, 20, in that way, n number of values may be there. So indirectly, that will represent your this triangle shaped area. green color, this shaded area. That represents your consumer surplus. If market price of that same commodity is not 20 rupee, it is 10 rupee, size of that triangle shaped area will be more. It will be like this. It will be green color shaded area as well as your purple color shaded area. Means what? In a competitive market, what happens? Usually price of that commodity is usually less. Because of competition, price is supposed to be less. But if competition is not there, only one seller is there, he may fix a price of 50 rupee also. That possibility is there. But when in market, there are so many sellers, they are competing with each other to sell. Because of competition, price is less. Price is less means consumer surplus will be more. Consumer surplus means consumer are enjoying this surplus. So it indirectly represents your societal welfare. Anyway, so along with that, in last class, what we discussed, we started discussing long run situation. Long run situation means your time period is usually long. In detail, as I said, I will discuss it when I will discuss your production and cost. But long run, you can assume a time period of 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. So when you are considering a time period of say 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, so price, along with price, there may be so many other factors which may influence. Say, for example, I am considering a purchasing of a particular product. Now, in long run, now what happened? Price of that commodity is not changed. In a over a period of say 5 years or 10 years, no change in market price of the commodity. But what happened in this period, 5 years or 10 years, my income increase. Though price may not change, price may have a constant value, but as my income increase, I might be looking for more quantity of that commodity because I have more purchasing power, my income increase. Because I am considering a long run situation. Long run means your time period is quite high, quite large under consideration. Like I'm considering a 10 years time period. So sometimes price of that commodity may not change, but as there is an increase in income, or income may decrease also, it is different issue. So accordingly, your quantity demanded may increase or decrease. So in general, you will find a positive relationship between income and quantity demand. Income increase, demand also increase. Income decrease, demand usually decrease in general. Now after that, what I discussed it, I discussed about relationship between your income and quantity demanded for 4 different categories of goods I considered. One is luxury goods. Luxury goods are those goods whose demand started when your income reach a particular level. Think about maybe an AC, split AC suppose. Luxury goods are those goods which are not essential for your survival. It is not essential for your survival. You need the luxury good for your comfort. So suppose split AC, when your income reach a particular level, then only you will start looking for that commodity. If income is not reaching that level, you are not looking for that commodity. So this demand starts once your income reach a particular income level. So in general, relationship between income and quantity demanded for luxury goods is that black color, this graph. Along with that, you can find out maybe other relationship also. You are supposed to draw this graph separately, but in one graph only I draw it. Because of that, I use different color. like essential goods, essential green color this curve. Essential goods are those goods which are essential for your survival, like your basic food, basic cloth, so and so. These are essential for your survival. So these are two extreme case. In between essential goods and luxury goods, two extreme end, these two categories. In between luxury and essential goods, you will find normal goods. So do not think too much about why it is intersecting this other graph, but because as I already said, this graph you are supposed to draw separately, plotting it income and quantity demanded. Normal goods are coming in between luxury goods and essential goods. And more or less, this will be the shape. Then another good will be there, that is inferior goods. Inferior goods are those goods in economics, how we explain inferior goods and how we explain normal goods. Normal goods are those goods whose demand increase along with increase in income. Income increase, demand also increase in general. At different proportion maybe, but income increase, demand also increase. But in case of inferior good, it is reverse. Income increase, demand decrease. Inferior goods are those goods whose demand decrease along with increase in income. Income increase, demand decrease. So it is supposed to be negatively slope. Then I draw it here separately. It is supposed to be negatively slope, but I draw a positively sloped portion also, initial phase, positively sloped portion. What is this meaning? That I explain with the help of the example. I discuss it in case of given good. Suppose your weekly requirement of rice is 15 kg, budget is 400. Okay. There are two quality of rice. One is poor quality, 20, another is good quality, 40, something like that, hypothetical case. But suppose your income is only 100 rupee, hypothetical case. Think about the situation that your income is only 100 rupee. Your income is only 100 rupee. What will you do? Not 400 even. Income here, I mean to say, your amount available with you for purchasing rice is not 400, only 100 rupee. And your requirement is, weekly requirement of rice is 15 kg. But only 100 rupee you have. What will you do? So simple answer is, you will forget about good quality. Even poor quality rice also 15 kg is difficult for you to purchase. So what will you do it with 100 rupee? You will purchase 5 kg of rice, poor quality rice, 5 kg. But your requirement is 15 kg. But right now, your income permits you to purchase only 5 kg of rice. Then your income increase. Income increase means, suppose the amount available for purchasing rice is increased from, say, 100 rupee to, say, 160 rupee, suppose. What will you do? Instead of 5 kg, now you will purchase 8 kg of rice at the rate of 20 rupee. 8 kg, 160 rupee. Further, it increased to 200 rupee. You will purchase 10 kg of rice. Because nobody like to go to bed with empty stomach. So immediate objective is how to manage this 15 kg. You will not concern that much about good quality or poor quality. First, you will try to fill your stomach. That is your topmost priority. So when it becomes to 200, you will look for 10 kg. So what is happening here? Your income is increasing. Your purchase is also increasing from 5 kg. Then it moved to 7 kg, 8 kg. Then it moved to 10 kg. In that way, it is going on. Suppose it reaches 300. You are purchasing 15 kg at the rate of 20 rupee. 15 kg. So it is something like this. When it reaches, say, 300, you are purchasing this. Suppose this income is 300. Suppose this income is 300. When it reached 300, you are purchasing 15 kg. This side is x-axis is quantity. This side is income. So when it reached 300, you are purchasing this one. When it was 200, you were purchasing maybe this 10 kg here. So in initial phase, along with increase in income, quantity demanded is increasing, means maybe for a short period, but situation is that it is positively slow. But the moment it reaches 300, beyond that, if income is increasing, gradually you started substituting. So demand will start decreasing. Demand for this poor quality. In this case also, suppose it become 300 to 300, now it become 400. 400. The moment it become 400, instead of purchasing 15 kg of poor quality rice, instead of purchasing poor quality rice 15 kg, 10 kg you are purchasing poor quality rice, 5 kg you are purchasing good quality rice. So 400 you are managing in that way. So its demand decreased from 15 kg to 10 kg, this poor quality. Means what? Means here income is increasing, demand is decreasing. In this way it started. Income is increasing, demand is decreasing. Demand for poor quality. It will come down from 10, maybe somewhere here. When your income reach, suppose 400, instead of purchasing 15 kg, you are purchasing only 10 kg of this one. Along with that, you are purchasing 5 kg of good quality rice. So this is a case of even inferior good. This may be this poor quality rice. The simple logic in case of inferior good is these are the good which demand decrease along with increase in income. Now, today's lecture is basically, I was just refreshing your memory. Now, the case is there are a few more variables which I am yet to discuss and I am going to discuss. But before that, there are a few more variables which I am going to discuss. Okay, in long run, because I am considering a long run situation. And long run situation means along with price and income, there are so many other variables. Because I am considering a time period of say 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Those determinants of demand. QX is the demand for X. What are the determinants I am discussing? These are determinants, PX, income, so and so. Because it is a long run situation. One by one, I am going to discuss. Now, this is just to refresh your memory. Now, question is, what are the other factors? But before going to that one, I want to ask you if you have any question related to my previous lectures. You can ask me any question, because before you are going to face your test on Monday. Before that test, this is your you can say last test for me. Before test, if you have any question related to my portion, you can ask me right now. Because Thursday I will take that, I will similar way, I will clear any doubts in other section, not in this section. So today it is your opportunity to clear any doubt if you have. Can you hear me?
Sir.
I believe you can hear me as well as you are seeing the whiteboard discussion. In case you face any problem, you should inform me immediately, maybe unmute and you can speak out. And in case you face any problem, you should, because always I am in other screen. Other screen means in whiteboard, that screen. I am not seeing your MS team, that meeting link. It is not in front of me all the time. But what I'm asking you that in case you have any question, you can ask me. And if you do not ask me, what I'm going to do is I will continue my discussion. But do not blame me later on that I am not giving you time to ask question. You can ask me any question related to my portion. Any question starting from utility to even today till now, whatever we discuss. Any question. And if you have not any question, or you can ask me after some time also. I will not waste time actually. I will not waste time. I will continue my discussion. So, okay, you do not have any question right now, but you can think over it. Maybe after 10-15 minutes again, I will ask you the question in case you have any question. Now, till now I discussed price and income. What may be the other determinants? Suppose, assume third situation that price is no change, income is no change. Long run situation I am considering. Price of the commodity, no change. Your income, individual income, no change. But still, sometimes your demand may change. Why? Quantity demanded for a commodity. QX means quantity demanded for X. May be influenced by some other factor. What are these other factors? Can you guess it quickly without wasting any time? Can you guess some of these factors? Do not worry for mistake. Can you guess? No reply? Quickly. I do not waste time. Otherwise, I will reply. Either you reply or I will reply. I will give the answer, but remember, do not blame later on that it is one-sided. You should at least in a position to guess something. There may be mistake. Let it be. Can you guess what are the factors which may influence demand in long run? Suppose 5 years, 10 years.
So the price of the commodity.
Price of?
The commodity. If it rises, the demand will fall.
No. Price already we discussed, na? In short run, we already discussed, elaborated this price, how price may influence demand by law of demand. So that same factor is applicable here also. Because of that, I did not remove this price. Price is already discussed. Income is also discussed. In normal situation, income increase, demand increase. Income decrease, demand decrease. That is already discussed. Then along with price and income, what may be the other factor which may influence your demand? Price is no change, income is no change. Suppose then also quantity demanded may be change in a long run situation, in long run, 5 years, 10 years, demand for a commodity because of influence of other factor. What are these other factors? Can you
Preference
guess?
of someone,
Pardon?
preference of the customer, something.
Preference. What word you are using? Preference.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is a right answer. Another factor may be your consumer taste and preference. Because right now, suppose I'm consuming tea. Tea is the beverage. I'm considering a time period of 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. My preference for tea may decrease. My taste for tea, my taste may change because it is a long run. Along with tea, whatever, I started preferring more and more coffee. then what will happen? Demand for tea may decrease. My taste change, my preference change. So another factor may be your taste and preference. Is it clear? Price and income may not change, but as my taste change, I started looking for more another commodity or less quantity of this one. Then what will happen? Demand may change. So in a long run situation, as time period is long, your consumers' taste and preference may change. Any other factor? Can you guess quickly?
Economic fluctuations like recession.
That may be reflected either in price or income. That may be reflected either in price or income. So I'm not considering this one separately because it may be either market price may increase or decrease because of that, or otherwise it may have a impact, positive or negative, on your income. That is already captured. Any other factor? Quickly.
Increase in
Sir,
population.
life of the commodity.
Life of the commodity may not be, because life of the commodity may be captured to some extent, maybe even by price. What do you mean to say? Like suppose two commodities are, one is having a very short life period, another is long life period. Now, this short life period, it is likely to be less in price, and if it is a very long lasting item, it may have a much more or higher price, maybe based on this one. So to some extent, price will capture that factor. Like quality, someone may also say quality, but quality, life, and all these aspects will be captured by, to some extent, by price of that commodity. Someone was saying some other factor. Quickly, you respond. Let it be a mistake. Why you bother?
Increase in population.
Yeah, population, I will bring it. Population may be a factor I discuss usually as a macroeconomic factor. I will discuss along with that population, some other factor will also be. I will discuss maybe towards the end, but there are a few common factors which is not coming to your mind probably, or might be it is striking.
Seasonal changes.
Seasonal changes. In which way? See, in economics, remember, in economics, sometime straight way I cannot say your answer wrong. Unless you interpret it, it is difficult to say straight way it is right or wrong. Because of that, interpretation is very, very important. So how seasonal change? Now you have to see, when you are telling me any factor, you have to see whether there is any possibility of capturing that factor by capturing that the factor or issue by some of the determinants already discussed. Like seasonal change, if I capture it in other way, like say in winter season, demand for certain commodities may go up. Okay, demand for certain commodities may go up, and because of that, so is the case of price also. In off season, price of that commodity is really relatively less, but in peak season, price of that commodity is usually more. Companies are giving some off season sale also because of that, to clear their stock and so and so. So seasonality sometime may influence price, or maybe captured to some extent by price also. That is, I am thinking in that way. Any other factor?
So the price of complementary products, which might go
Yes,
with this product.
I was expecting that kind of reply. Price of, see here I consider price of X, means commodity under consideration is X. Sometime think about price of complementary or substitute, suppose. What will happen? You assume all other things are at certain level, no change. Suppose tea and coffee, I am considering first as substitute. Tea and coffee. Tea can substitute coffee, coffee can substitute tea. Okay. QX represents demand for tea. QX represents demand for tea. Okay. No change in price of tea, income, taste and preference, no change. Okay. I am a consumer. Think about, suppose my case, suppose I am a consumer who consume tea along with coffee. Now there is no change in price of tea as it is, but I am analyzing that demand. But what is happening in market? Coffee price, as earlier it was suppose 1,000 rupee. 1,000 rupee per kg was your coffee price. Okay, that decrease because of some factor in market. Price of coffee decrease. Price of coffee decreased to 500 per kg. Okay, price of coffee decrease. Now you can analyze it individually. Individually, what I mean to say, price of coffee decrease, demand increase. For demand for coffee increase. Is it clear? Price of coffee decrease, price of coffee decrease, and demand increase. Coffee price decrease, demand increase is normal situation, negatively slope. Coffee is a normal goods anyway. Most of these goods are normal, mostly it is coming. How demand for coffee increase? That you need to know, that you need to analyze first. Demand for coffee may go up because existing consumer of coffee may purchase more quantity of coffee. Earlier, when price was at 1,000 rupee per kg, hypothetical value, 1,000 rupee per kg, I used to purchase only maybe 20 gram or 30 gram of coffee. But when coffee price came down to 500, I started purchasing maybe half kg of coffee. Instead of 20 or 100 gram, I started purchasing half kg of coffee together because price is almost 50% less because of some factor. So when I am purchasing half kg, similar to me, some other consumer also might be purchasing half kg or maybe even more because price of coffee is decreasing and there is no guarantee that tomorrow also this price will be less. So to take the advantage of the situation, today I will start purchasing more quantity of coffee. This is one source. Because of that, existing consumer may purchase more quantity of coffee at lower price, demand may go up. But along with that, when price came down to 500 per kg, earlier, this when it was price was 1,000, it was beyond my reach. Although I was interested, but as price was very high and my income is less, I cannot reach. But now when price came down or decreased by 50%, now I can think about purchasing maybe some maybe small quantity, but I can reach. Earlier might be I was in a position to thinking about purchasing maybe small quantity, maybe 10 gram or 15 gram of coffee, but I cannot afford it. But when price is reduced by 50%, I can afford. So new consumers are joining into that purchasing, and because of that also, this demand may go up. New consumers are entering into that market. Who are these new consumers? Question is that one. New consumer physically they are entering into that market. It is not like that. The consumers are already there, but earlier at higher price they were not purchasing. But when price came down, they started thinking about purchasing. So these are the new consumer. The meaning of new consumer entering into that market means new consumers are also started purchasing coffee. Some of these consumers might be the consumer of tea. As price of coffee decrease, they are reducing consumption of tea. Rather, they started consuming more quantity of coffee. So some of these consumers are even the consumer of existing consumer of tea. What they are doing earlier, because of higher price, they were consuming less coffee. Now price of coffee decrease. Instead of consuming tea, not totally, but partially, they started consuming more quantity of coffee, reduced consumption of tea, and started consuming more number cups of coffee. So some of that existing consumer of tea may switch over from tea to coffee. So they are also joining here, demand may go up. When they are switching over from tea to coffee, I'm not saying that 100% switch over. I'm saying that partially they will switch over. Partially they are switching over means they are consuming less quantity of tea now, more quantity of coffee. So when they will consume less quantity of tea, what will happen to tea? Demand for tea will decrease. Similar to this consumer, some other consumer also may be there who are switching over partially from tea to coffee. So demand for tea will go down. So in this case, quantity demanded for tea will go down, though price, income, taste and preference and other things are not changing. But as price of coffee is decreasing, demand for tea is also decreasing. In same direction it is happening. Price of coffee decrease, demand for tea decrease. In case of substitute, they move in same direction. Be careful. Price decrease, quantity demanded decrease. But remember, this price of coffee decrease, quantity demanded for tea also decrease, same direction. But in case of complementary item, think about tea and sugar. Think about tea and sugar. They are complementary to each other. Consumption of one facilitate more consumption of the other commodity. They are complementary to each other. Behind the scene assumption is that I am consuming tea with sugar only. If sugar is not there, I am not consuming tea. Okay. Suppose now this QX is as usual, demand for tea. Price of tea, no change. Income, no change. Taste and preference, no change. Only what happened? Price of sugar increase. Price of sugar, suppose, increase. When price of sugar increase, demand for sugar decrease. Price of sugar increase means demand for sugar decrease. Okay, demand for sugar decrease, price increase, demand decrease. It is a normal situation. I cannot afford at higher price. I cannot afford same quantity of sugar, so I started purchasing small quantity of sugar, or in extreme case, I may stop also purchasing sugar. When sugar is not available, I am not consuming tea also. When I am not consuming tea means demand for tea is decreasing. So price of sugar increase, demand for tea decrease. Demand for tea, in this case, price of sugar increase, demand for tea decrease. Though no change in price of tea, no change in income, no change in taste. As only price of sugar increase, demand for tea decrease. In opposite direction, this is happening. In case of complementary, that kind of relationship you will find it. Like your fuel and four-wheeler, purchase of a four-wheeler or demand for four-wheeler. fuel prices, suppose you do not have any other alternative, or you might be having some alternative also. Then normal, suppose fuel price is increasing like anything, then your demand for four-wheeler may go down, which is dependent upon your petrol or diesel. That may go down. Do not confuse. If it is, you are talking about, say, 80 rupee, 90 rupee, something like that. But if I say that fuel price is 300 rupee or 1000 rupee per liter, what will you do? It is increasing in that way, suppose, day by day. Suppose it reaches to 1000 rupee per liter, suppose. What will happen? Number of vehicle in roads will decrease, or maybe your demand for vehicle will decrease. There may be some alternative, that is different issue. Demand will, it's clear. Price of complementary and substitute item also may influence demand for a particular commodity. Any other factor? Population I will discuss. Okay, here let me explain. Another is your demonstration effect. Demonstration effect. Another factor may be, you can say, about your demonstration effect. What is this demonstration effect? Think about two. Under demonstration effect, actually we get two different effects. One is your bandwagon effect. Bandwagon effect. Okay. Bandwagon effect. What is happening here? Think about a area, village, where the consumers are having much more purchasing power, but they are not purchasing. Suppose no one is having a four-wheeler. That example I give it yesterday in other section also. No one is having a four-wheeler, but they are having purchasing power. They are rich. It is not that they are involved in agriculture, because of that they are not having purchasing power. It is not like that. So no one is having a four-wheeler, but they are having purchasing power. Then one person thought that, okay, why not I purchase a four-wheeler? As no one is having, if I am in a position to bring a four-wheeler, my social status may go up. Because no one is having a four-wheeler, other people will look at me in a different way, with a different social status. That may be actual, that may be perceived also. So I'm thinking that one household purchased that four-wheeler. Seeing that one, and actually other people started looking at him in a different way, because he is being the only person who is having a four-wheeler. Think, I remember our days, actually, in our childhood. I'm talking about around 80s, when TV was not there. You forget about color TV. You were not born during that time. So think about even black and white TV. In rural area, I'm referring. In whole area, maybe 15-20 kilometer area, hardly one person might be, or two person might be having a TV, black and white TV, to see your Asian Games in Delhi. Asian Games was going on during that time. Then only TV was gradually started becoming available in rural area, that too one or two. And people used to bring out that TV in open area, and you will find maybe in front of a TV, you will find maybe 100 people. It is difficult to even see sometimes, because from distance it is not visible, but still people are looking at it. Okay, anyway, those are the days in different sense. So, but at the same time, they overnight such kind of people become popular, because, oh, this is the person who is having a TV. So everybody knows that person, something like that. Other people are also having price. So seeing that one, second household also purchase, because he is also having the price. It happened during that time. It happened. For you, it may be difficult to realize that kind of situation, but it was the case in rural area. Seeing that 1/3 household also purchase. So just like a band, everybody started enjoying joining in that band. So this bandwagon effect will have a positive impact on demand, quantity demanded. But reverse of this one is snob effect. Snob effect. Snob effect. What happened here? When an item become item of common, many people stop using it because even ordinary people are also using it, like your Nokia 1100 maybe, or even you can go before that also. Some of that Motorola big size mobile, you can say. For you, it is difficult to imagine, but we face this one. Even in our childhood, mobile was not there. Anyway, so when such kind of item become item of common, even very ordinary people are also economically poor. People are also started using it. Then some of that rich people, they started thinking that no, I cannot use anymore this one because even ordinary people are also started using it. Ordinary people or economically poor people are using it because its price is less because of that. So some of that people may think about that, no, I will immediately stop using it. I may go for purchasing some other commodity, but or using some other product of high price, but not this particular product because it is an item of common. So this will have a negative impact on demand. Snob effect, it will have a negative impact on demand. This is your demonstration effect. Under demonstration effect, you will find bandwagon effect and snob effect. Another factor may be your consumer credit facility. Consumer credit facility. And this is changing even your to some extent. This is to some extent changing your to some extent changing the definition of demand also, partially you can say. How? So think about two commodity. One is suppose having a consumer credit facility and another product is not having a consumer credit facility. Two product. One is having consumer credit facility, another is not having consumer credit facility. Where credit facility is there, its demand will go up because I need not have the instant purchasing power. I may have simply the down payment option and zero EMI and so. So I am purchasing this one. And the second commodity where such kind of facility is not there, all amount you have to purchase, make the payment at the time of purchasing, whole amount. So ultimately demand remain more or less same. But whereas these other commodity, even demand may go up because of that facility. Okay. But directly you cannot say that it even change the definition of demand, because in definition of demand, what I said, desire for something backed by purchasing power. So having a purchasing power is very, very important. Though here I said that consumer credit facility, you need not have the purchasing power right now 100%, but still if you think about that, without having a purchasing power, your shopkeeper will deliver a product to you. It is not like that. They will see what kind of profession you are, what is your monthly income and so. Seeing that one only, they will give you. Otherwise, they will refuse you. If there is no guarantee that you are going to make the payment in coming days, do not think that by default they will give that kind of facility to anyone who are approaching them. It is not like that. But still, consumer credit facility will have a positive impact on demand. Clear? Another is what one student said already, that is your population. Macroeconomic variable, you can say. or determinants, population. So what is happening? What is happening in population? So think about India and think about some Central European country where population is more, maybe a different proportion. Proportion may vary depending upon your purchasing power, but where population is more, demand is supposed to be more, maybe by 1 unit, but demand is supposed to be more. Whereas, think about a small Central European countries which is just equivalent to one of our province, population-wise. Some of our province, it is similar. So demand is, as population is less, demand is likely to be less. So higher the population, demand is likely to be more. And remember, I categorically said that although demand may be more, because it again depends upon your income, purchasing power. So demand may be more, but that demand, increase in demand may not be proportional. It may not be proportional, you can say. But along with the population, another factor is important, that is your distribution of income in a country. Again, macroeconomic aspects. Distribution of income. Think about, suppose India, or forget about India, think about some African countries and some developed countries, suppose. Now, it is a symbolic. Do not think that it is a actual example I am giving you. Think about an African country where income is very, very poor, means income is there, but elite group, top maybe 10%, enjoy countries might be 50% income. Few people are very, very rich. Most of this income is concentrated on some of that people. Whereas bottom 30% people enjoy only 10% country's income. Suppose, means in majority of these people are very, very poor. So there is a inequality in income. Income distribution is very, very, say, uneven, very, very uneven. Income distribution is very, very uneven. Top 10% people, very, very elite group, they enjoy most of this income, and bottom majority of these people are poor. They even struggle for your basic facilities. In such a country, what will happen? Demand for essential goods will be more, because these are essential for your survival. And when your majority of your people are not in a position to manage this basic product, so they might be suffering. Because of that, demand for essential goods may be more. Whereas in other country, think about the second country, like some developed country, like maybe US or Canada or something like that. Though the income distribution is not very good, you can say that it is relatively even, you can say. It is not perfectly even. Income distribution is relatively even, means even bottom, with respect to income, even bottom layer of people, bottom level, the people who are there with respect to income, earnings, they also maintain some basic standard of living. Might be because of their social security system and XYZ, even these bottom people who are living in terms of economic condition, those who are living in bottom of that pyramid, you can say, they are also maintaining some basic standard of living. So in such a country, developed country particularly, so demand for normal goods will be more, because easily they can meet their demand for essential commodities. So demand for normal goods will be more. That may be another determinant. Maybe distribution of income may also sometimes influence within that different commodity groups, depending upon distribution of income, also in a country, also demand may vary. So in that way, you can go on explaining so many other factors, like 6, 7, 8 factors I discussed, I believe. Price of the commodity, income, consumers' taste and preference, price of complementary and substitute item, then demonstration effect, then your consumer credit facility, population in a country, distribution of income. In that way, you can easily discuss maybe at least 8 or 9 factors. So these are the determinants in long run which may influence demand for a particular commodity. Any question if you have till now, whatever I discussed, maybe from your first lecture, if you have any question, you can ask me.
Sir,
Yeah, please.
sir, I'm confused if change in price of complementary is a part of change in test, because as you give example of tea and coffee, if price of coffee is decreasing, then we shifted our test from tea to coffee. Isn't it part of?
No. I'm telling you, first of all, do not confuse about tea and coffee, because tea and coffee are substitute to each other. This is not an example of complementarity. It is an example of substitution. Okay. Second is, see, taste is altogether different aspects. I am a consumer, I am consuming partially tea and partially coffee. Okay. Now, partially tea and means I am consuming both. Okay. Now, when price of coffee decrease, there is a tendency for me that I may consume more quantity of coffee. I didn't stop totally tea. If you say that I totally stop tea because I do not like it, then you are reflecting it by taste, change in taste. But in this case, what is happening? In normal situation, I am consuming, say, 2 cups of tea and 2 cups of coffee. Okay, at my residence, suppose. It may be more also, they are hypothetical value. But as price of coffee decreased, I started purchasing more quantity of coffee. Why I am purchasing it? Because price of coffee is very less. So instead of 2 cups, I started consuming 3 cups. And tea also, I didn't stop totally. Might be occasionally I am consuming tea, or maybe 1 cup only daily. Or sometimes it may happen that occasionally I am consuming tea also. This doesn't mean that I do not like tea. It is not like that. I still like tea. But coffee prices decreased drastically. Because of that, I purchased more and I started consuming more coffee. So this coffee is substituting tea partially. Because of that, yeah.
Change in price of coffee is not affecting demand of tea in this.
No, it is affecting. No? What is happening? In this case, coffee price decrease.
Yes, sir.
Coffee price, this is coffee price, this coffee price decrease. Okay, price of coffee, in this case, price of coffee decrease. Then I make a move from tea to coffee. Earlier, I used to have 2 cups of tea. As price of coffee decreased, I started consuming more quantity of coffee. So tea, consumption of tea decreased for me from 2 to 1, or maybe sometime even occasionally I started consuming tea, because I started consuming more and more coffee. So when I decrease my consumption from 2 to 1, suppose, is that my demand for tea will not decrease? It is decreasing.
Yes, sir.
So ultimately what is happening? Price of tea is not changed in this case. But as price of coffee decrease, demand for tea is also decreasing.
Okay,
Maybe by 1 cup, but ultimately it will be reflected in your total demand. And if I consider all the consumer of tea, that will be reflected in market demand. Market demand for tea will decrease. Because price of coffee decrease, some of that existing consumer of tea might be switching over to coffee. Because of that, demand for tea will go down. Maybe by 1 kg. Quantity is not the issue here. The issue is, as price of coffee decrease, demand for tea also decrease. Same direction it happened. It's clear.
Yes, sir.
And about your complementarity, you can bring here tea and sugar, you can bring here bread and butter, you can bring here petrol and fuel. These are complementary, means bread and butter. Suppose bread and butter example is, suppose one is bread, another is suppose butter. Behind the scene, assumption is that I am consuming bread when butter is available. Means along with butter only I am having bread. If butter is not there, I am not consuming bread. Price of butter suppose increase. I cannot afford any more good quantity of butter. Only small quantity I might be. Then when I cannot afford any more butter price, at a higher price I cannot afford to purchase butter. So ultimately butter is not available with me. When butter is not available with me, bread is also I am stop using bread or consuming bread. So demand for bread will go down. So butter price increase, demand for bread decrease. Opposite direction. In case of tea and coffee, it is in same direction. Price of coffee decrease, demand for tea also decrease. Same direction. You will get a positive relationship. If it is a in cross elasticity, I will discuss later on. You will get a positive value in this case. If it is a substitute relationship, but if it is a complementary relationship, you will get a negative relationship. It is in opposite direction. That I will elaborate again further in cross elasticity when I will start discussing elasticity. Anyway, any question quickly? Because my plan, I am telling you, my intention is to answer your question, any question related to my portion. And after that, to go to the discussion of supply. Because as of now, at the beginning, I said what? I say that I will start with demand. You will consider yourself as a consumer, as a buyer. But now I will move on to supply. When you will consider yourself as a producer, as a supplier, you are producing something and bringing it to market to sell. You are a seller, something like that. Then things will be much more easier to imagine. Then, so I am going to discuss supply. Then in last stage, I am going to bring both demand and supply together, because in market, ultimately both demand and supply you will find it at the same time. So we have to ultimately bring demand and supply, discuss demand and supply together simultaneously. But anyway, before going to discuss this supply, because for the time being you have to forget about demand when I start discussing supply. But again, we will bring it back again with demand and supply. But before that, I want to answer any question if you have. Any question? Anyway, if you do not have any question, then I have nothing to say. I can only continue, but do not blame me later on. So right now, I am going to discuss your supply. Similar to demand, this supply also, remember when we discuss supply, consider yourself as a producer. You are producing something and supplying it into market, something like that. And similar to demand, this supply also discussed in short run as well as long run situation. Short run means I am producing something and bringing immediately to sell into that market. And long run maybe, as I discussed, maybe in your 5 years, 10 years, something like that. Maybe time period is in one case is very, very short. In another case, it is very, very long. But if I right now, if I analyze that supply in a market, like our tech market, suppose, then supply will also be a function of price. Supply will also be a function of price. So in that case, short run, very short run, if I discuss this supply, in this case, this QX is quantity supply of X. So again, it will be a function of price, because right now, how much quantity I will supply, that will be depend on existing market price. So if market price is more, I am a supplier, market price is more. Will I not try to supply more? And if market price is less, I will try to supply less. So in general, you will find a positively sloped supply curve, suppose as this or something like that. This is this shows the short run relationship between price and quantity supply. And that is expressed just like in case of demand. This is expressed with the help of your law of supply. So law of supply says what? Law of supply. So law of supply says what? All other things are at certain level. All other things are at certain level. When price of a particular commodity, increase, quantity supplied increase. When price decrease, quantity supplied decrease. All other things are at certain level. Or in certain books, you may find that ceteris paribus, means other things are at certain level. Means similar to demand, in short run here also, supply may be a function of price, but if it is a long run situation, supply may be influenced by some other factor also. And as you know, this law of supply, what it says ultimately, all other things are at certain level. When price of a particular commodity increase, quantity supplied also increase. Price decrease, quantity supply also decrease. This is your law of supply. Clear? Now, another question is your shift of supply curve. Suppose shift of supply curve means what? Mostly, I am going to discuss the other determinants of supply. Supply may be influenced by many other factors also. And when it will influence, when time period is long. You have sufficient time period to change. Suppose I am producing something. Okay. And after production, I am bringing it to sell into market. Suppose I am producing, tomato. I am a farmer. I am producing tomato in my field. After my production, after harvest, I bring it to market to sell that tomato. It's something like that. Okay. Now, if I consider a longer time period, then many other factors may be there which may influence my supply. What are these factors which may influence my supply? Price is there by default. Already I discussed it. Price under law of supply, already it is based upon change in price. So price is already there. Depending upon market price, my supply may change. That is already discussed. But along with price, there are other factors which may influence my supply. Production and supply, whatever it is. So, what are these other factors? Can you guess it? Indirectly, these are the factors which may influence your supply means what? If your supply increase, supply curve will shift rightward. If supply decrease, supply curve will shift leftward. So and so. Change may be there. Same is the case in case of demand also. Change in demand curve means what? Demand curve may shift because of influence of so many other determinants. So in this case, what are the factors which may influence your supply? I am giving you a break of maybe 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, I will keep it as it is. After 5 minutes, I will be back. I will be back rather before 5 minutes, but I am giving you now it is 10:10, 11:10. At 11:15, I will be back. And I will ask you the same question, that what are the factors which may influence your supply quickly? Okay. Yeah, can you hear me? And can you
Yes, sir.
see the whiteboard? Okay. So I was discussing about this determinants of factor influencing supply in long run. Obviously, it is a case of long run. Okay. Or in long run, you can write QX means quantity supplied, maybe a function of obviously price of the commodity, maybe in this case. But along with that, what are the other factors which may influence your supply? Can you guess quickly? Otherwise, I will reply.
Demand.
Demand, you see, say demand is more, suppose. That will be reflected by what? That will be reflected by price. I'm a producer. In market, suppose you are seeing the demand. Say it is a product is having a very high demand. High demand means what? That will be reflected by price. If demand is too high, then price will automatically go up. So price is capturing that demand. In case of supply, price is already captured that particular aspects. Any other factor which may influence your supply?
So government regulations about the production.
Pardon? Government?
Regulations about the production or something.
One factor you can bring it. I will bring that factor. But before that, if any other answer is there, I can. Otherwise, I will I will reply. But if you have any other factor, quickly you can tell me. Otherwise, I will reply. First is, you are a producer, suppose. I give that example intentionally so that things will become much more easier for you. I give that example of, suppose, tomato. I am producing, and after production, I am bringing it to sell into that market. Suppose input price of tomato is very, very high. Input price. Okay. Input price means, suppose I am producing tomato in a particular area, market price of tomato is no change. It is, suppose your 30 rupees, something like that, hypothetical value. But cost of production of input is cost of production of tomato, that input price is very, very high. Then what may happen? This market price may not be very, very attractive to me anymore because cost of production is too high. Because of that, ultimately, I may lose interest in production of tomato, and ultimately this may have a negative impact on supply. I may stop producing tomato, maybe. Because cost of production may go up very high because input prices are too high. Might be because of n number of factors. Because of that, ultimately, it may influence your supply. Price of your input price. Okay, that may be a factor which may influence your supply. Any other factor?
So distribution,
How?
transport, like if a road
Now,
gets
see, wait. When we are talking about cost of production by default in economics, we even include their marketing. Up to the point of delivery, we consider. Cost of production, we incorporate even that one also. So even that your marketing and that one will be reflected in your cost of production. Okay, by default, we capture that one also. Producing and bringing it into market, and ultimately I am selling it into consumer. So cost of production include, even by default, we assume include everything. Or if it is an industrial product, cost of production also include your selling cost. Separately, we can analyze it, but we even include that component also. There. Any other factor quickly? Government policy. Number of
producers.
Then what will happen?
Number of producer will increase, then the individual supply of each producer will decrease, I think.
Individually, if number of producer is more, then what will happen? Individual.
Individual supply, individual production of these supply of each individual will decrease, because the need of a product in a market is not changed by the number of producers.
I'm not sure what you are saying. My question is, should be clear to you. My question is, what are the factors which may influence my supply? What are the factors which may influence my supply? I'm a producer, I'm producing something and selling it in market. What are the factors? Which one is obviously market price. Second, I mentioned is cost of production. Indirectly, input prices. Okay. Another factor will be you are ignoring it. I do not know why. That is your technology. Yeah, please. Someone is saying something.
Sir, amount of production means quantity of production.
Yeah, what are the factors which influence? What are the factors which influence my volume of production? What are the factors which influence my volume of production? My volume of production means if I consider market supply, ultimately total quantity of product supplied into that market. One is obviously your technology. Technology means you are using a particular production technology where might be outdated, old, where wastage was very, very high. Assuming market price and all other things are at certain level, only what I did now, I used the advanced technology. Technology is advanced in the sense, maybe one technology may be that your wastage is close to zero wastage. Earlier what happened? There were a lot of wastage. Ultimately my volume of or output level was less. But now, using a modern technology or advanced machine or something like that, my wastage is close to zero. With same amount of raw material, now I am getting more unit of output. So my supply may go up because of technology. A classic example in front of you is your traditional variety and high yielding variety. Though high yielding variety demands some other inputs also along with that one, but in case of traditional variety, suppose your input production is suppose per hectare production is suppose hypothetically 1 ton. In case of high yielding variety, it may be 3 tons, maybe 5 tons also in certain cases, depending upon how well managed it is. So sometimes what is happening, although other things are at certain level, but as you change the technology, volume of production may go up. So ultimately, what will happen? Supply curve will shift rightward because of technology. You will get a new supply curve with same level of inputs, same market price, only level of output is increasing. Any other factor?
Sir, but this for
Any
technology
product
falls
that
under
is
the-
replacing
Go
new
ahead.
product that is replacing our present area of area of interest in the supply we are working over.
What you were saying?
So like any new product which can replace the supply, like which can replace the current product over which production is based on.
No, to some extent that may be captured by price, because suppose you introduce a new product. Suppose you introduce a new product which may very easily replace a old one. Suppose earlier you used to use a bucket made up of tin or something like that. In our childhood, it was very difficult to see a plastic bucket. Bucket means it was by default it used to be prepared from tin or something like that. Price was also very high. Now alternative product means plastic bucket and other things started coming into market. Okay, now what is which are relatively less in price, relatively less in price, people started using it. So ultimately what is happening, this product was replaced. This product means your tin bucket made up of tin and other things, gradually it replaced, or you can say if not total replacement, partially it is replaced. Why it is replaced? Because demand decreased drastically. Demand decreased drastically, and ultimately that was reflected to some extent in the price also. Because at higher price, no one was interested to purchase a bucket made up of tin. Rather, they are preferring bucket made up of plastic. So because of that, ultimately what is happening, it's demand decrease, and that to some extent demand will be captured, because demand decrease means ultimately that is going to have a impact on price also. Means if a particular product is not having any demand, what will happen then? Price will decrease like anything. Market price. Are you getting my point? Someone was saying something about technology.
Yes, sir. I was saying that the technology also falls under the factor of production.
Technology is a factors of
Production, yeah.
In which way?
So
Means
like
how you are that I am interested
it is a capital good for production of the commodity. We are using the technology, right? So
You
in
mean to say that, because another factor I discussed, that is your say input price or something like that. You mean to say that technology will be a captured by input
yes, sir,
price?
yes, sir.
Now I am telling you in other way. See, input price, I mean to say your land, labor, capital, and your entrepreneurship and something like that. Now you want to include your capital, under capital you want to include your technology. You mean to say that one?
Yes, sir.
But
Yes,
in
sir.
this case, what is happening? You are making little bit investment, but your output increase like anything. Sometimes even your technology, because of change in technology, your or technology also include your management practices. Means what happened? Your input price is no more increasing, only your way of production change. Are you getting my point? That possibility
Okay. Yes,
is
sir. Yes,
also
sir.
there. So not necessarily that always your input price has to increase. Sometime without changing your input price also, there may be a possibility of change in technology. Because technology also include here by default your way of managing the, or your management or managing the things. What I mean to say if you study your I can refer only here your adoption, because once I told you probably in your class that random utility theory, that you are a technologist, ultimately you are going to produce a technology, and before adopting, by ultimately you are going to market, and people will decide ultimately why he or she will accept a technology, adopt a technology. So if you study this Rogers theory of diffusion of innovation, you will find some of that one. Now, when we talk about adoption doesn't mean always you are adopting something new, a new technology. sometimes this adoption of technology also mean doing something using a different management practices. So in this case, say if you are having an agriculture background, then it is much more easier for you to give a different technology example. Say for example, I'm giving you an example, but I do not know how much it will be convincing. In flood prone area, suppose I am producing rice. Both are traditional varieties. Both are traditional varieties. Two situation is there, two areas. Flood affected area. One is normal traditional variety. For that also seed also I am paying. Another is flood resistant variety. I am just showing it in rice. That rice is flood resistant. There also seed cost is there. Here also seed cost is there. More or less same. Now you might be having a question that how flood resistant variety will be. What is the difference? I'm giving you some hints. That difference may be in different way. One might be a variety which is short duration. Suppose I am showing a rice sometime in June. Its duration is suppose 3 months, means or 100 days or 110 days, duration of that rice. So after 110 days, I will be able to harvest. By that time, you're in the time of when it is in very before harvesting, in ripening stage, flood was there and my crop damage. Over the years, it is happening. What I did, I slightly changed my management practices. Instead of this one, what I introduced short duration varieties. Not necessarily that always you have to have a high yielding varieties. High yielding varieties, you can argue with me that HUIV, it is a costly or something like that. What I introduced simply a short duration variety, simply change the technology, which is might be 85 days duration. Instead of 105 or 110 days duration, almost 25 days or maybe 1 month before I am harvesting my crop. And I can avoid this flood, negative impact of flood. Another maybe, this is one, and flood resistance, other way you can give that example. Flood resistant variety, there are some varieties, what is happening when there is a flood, along with increase in water level, stock of that plant also increase its length. Peculiar technologies are there. If someone visit it, some experimental field event, at least in some flood prone areas, you will find that kind of technology. What is happening because of that? Your crop is not damaging that much. Length of that the length of that stock length along with flood water level, length of that stock also increase. So unlike your other crop, which is submerged for 1 week or 15 days, totally crop is lost, 100% lost. In this kind of varieties, along with rise of water level, its length is also increasing. Ultimately, damage is very, very less. Different kind of technology I can tell you. So all the cases, not necessarily that you are spending too much money. Sometimes even same price, only your change in management practices. Because of that, you are getting higher output. So you can explain in that way. Okay, but let me explain these other two factors first. One is, already I mentioned, one factor might be strike to your mind also. That is we grouped it under non-economic factor. Non-economic factor means I mentioned flood, suppose. I mentioned, suppose it is an industrial product. I am producing a pen, suppose. Pen is my factory. In my factory, I am producing pen and selling it in market. At a sudden, there is a labor strike in my factory. My production suffer. At a sudden, there was a fire broke out in my factory. I could not produce maybe for 1 week. My production suffer or my supply suffer. So these are all kind of, or flood, heavy rainfall, insect pest and disease, all are factors. There are so many factors, such kind of factor. I am grouping them under non-economic factor. So non-economic factor may influence your supply of a particular product also. Along with that, government policy is having a very important role. Someone says at the beginning, there may be many more factors. One is government policy. Suppose I am producing a particular product in an industry. It is raw material is not available in India. Hypothetical case, raw material is not available in India. I am importing it, that raw material or inputs from other country. Price, demand, everything is at same level, no problem. I'm importing it, producing in India and selling it in Indian market, suppose. Now what happened? Because of some factor, maybe political, maybe other way, maybe government put a ban on importing this raw material of this particular product, maybe from a particular another country. Okay. Then what will happen? Like in palm oil industries, many a times in between, there were some restriction of importing palm oil from Malaysia because of some factors. And number of plenty of example I can give you. Sometimes that factor may be political, sometimes maybe that factor may be related to security also, might be. Or maybe human health also sometimes. I'm having a, say, nuclear reactor or something like that. Heavy one, maybe sensitive material I used to import from. Now because of health risk and other things, government put a blanket ban on import of this raw material. So all other things are at certain level. Demand is also there, price is okay, but I cannot import anymore. So ultimately, supply suffer. I cannot ultimately my supply suffer. Similar to me, other farm also face the same music because government is not putting a ban specific to a farm related to government policy. So ultimately, that may also influence supply of a particular commodity. So in that way, you can go on explaining different factors about these are the factors which may influence your supply in long run. Clear? Like say for example in government policy, suppose government is encouraging government policy, suppose government is encouraging suppose LED bulb. LED bulb. No doubt this government policy may have some influence on price also sometime. But in case of LED bulb, it is an example in price. Because the government suppose put a promote LED bulb, government is giving 50% subsidy, suppose. 50% subsidy means what? Price of LED, normal situation, if it is 200, hypothetical value. Now, as government is giving 50% subsidy, its price is coming down to 100. So as lower price, more demand. Market price of that product is less. Okay. But market price of the product is less in this case. If you study the law of supply, normal at lower price, less supply, higher price, more supply. That is the typical case. But in this case, what I said that market price was 200, government is giving 150% subsidy, market price is coming down to 100 rupee. But in this case, remember this 100 rupee, 200 to 100 rupee, 200 to 100 from producer's perspective, there is no change in market price. Producers are still getting 200. Only consumers are now giving 100 by paying this one, and 100 rupees coming from government. But for producer, They are still selling at they are still getting at 200. Here is a mechanism. This 50% subsidy means what? This that do not think that producers are sacrificing 100 rupee. They are not sacrificing. They are getting some way. If government is announcing a subsidy, government will make that arrangement how to make the payment. But ultimately, producers are getting only 200 rupee only. But in this case, as consumers are actually paying 100, their demand will go up. Demand will go up means in long term, in supply will also go up. That I am going to discuss now about bringing demand and supply together. But in case you have any question before that, maybe related to demand, maybe related to supply, or any other point related to my portion, you can ask me. Question will be mostly multiple choice. Mostly in my portion, I can tell you about my portion only. It will be very, very easy. And it will take very less time to answer multiple choice because answer is in front of you only. 5-10 seconds maybe you require it to answer if you know it. Any question? Any question you can ask me if you have any question. No question. Then what I am going to do it now, I am bringing both demand and supply together. This is your demand curve and this is your supply curve. This side is Px, this side is Qx. I'm going to discuss this both demand and supply together. But before going to discuss this demand and supply together, I need to clarify some of the things. Suppose you are a consumer. Suppose you are a consumer, you want to recall our example of demand. You are a consumer. Think about tomato. Suppose you are a consumer of tomato. Tomato price is suppose 30 rupee. You went to market to purchase a kg of tomato by 30 rupee. But when you reach market, you find that tomato price is 60 rupee. Hypothetical case. Do not think that why it is so much fluctuation, something like that. Might be because of some factors. Suppose there is a strike in somewhere and so XYZ, sufficient tomato could not reach market and so. Ultimately, suppose when you reach market, ultimately you find that tomato price is 60 rupee, but you need tomato. So what will you do? Many of you will purchase half a kg of tomato with 30 rupee. Some of you may not purchase also, that is different issue. But some of you will purchase half a kg of tomato. You went to market to purchase a kg of tomato. When you reach market, you find that tomato price is 60 rupee instead of 30 rupee. Okay. So you purchase half a kg of tomato. That is from consumer's perspective. What will be the situation from seller's perspective or supplier's perspective? What will be the situation from supplier's perspective or seller's perspective? I am a producer of tomato. Tomato price was 30 rupee earlier. Today I brought maybe to sell maybe 50 kg of tomato. Today I brought 50 kg of tomato to sell in market. When I reach market, I found that tomato price is 60 rupee. What will I do? Quickly. It's a very class 6-7 standard question, or maybe even class 4 maybe. What will I do? You'd like to respond or not? Quickly, we do not have much time. Yeah, please.
By half, sir.
Pardon?
By
Pardon?
half kg.
No. That is already I discussed about demand. Now I am talking about a producer's perspective. I am a seller of tomato, producer of tomato. Today I brought into market 50 kg of tomato to sell. When I reach market, I found that tomato price is not 30 rupee, it is 60 rupee. What will I do? As a seller, I'm talking about. Consumer, that is story is over. But as a seller, I am asking you, what will you do?
Sir, if I could not sell the 50 kg tomato, then maybe I will reduce the price a bit.
Suppose tomato price is 60 rupee and you are in a position to sell. What will you do?
Try to sell it out like the whole lot. A whole.
Simple answer is what? You brought 50 kg to sell. When you reach market, you find that tomato price is not 30 rupee. You thought that it will also be today also tomato price will be 30 rupee. But when you reach market, you find that tomato price is 60 rupee. So you sold out your 50 kg at 60 rupee. As simple as that. And you are happy with a happy mind, you are going back to home. Is it not? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Now the
Yes, sir.
case is not over here. Because you remember, market price is more and what will you do it tomorrow? Today you sold 50 kg. Suppose daily used to come. If possible, you will think about bringing even more tomato today itself because today market price is more. At higher price, your supply is also you try to supply more. So if possible, even today itself, you will try to supply more tomato if possible. But I assume the situation, suppose that you are maybe around 30-40 kilometers away from market, going back to your home, harvesting tomato, again bringing it to market. By that time, today's market will be over. And not necessarily that you have to sell only your tomato. Tomorrow, you will think that, okay, market price was 60 rupee yesterday, so I will try to bring more tomato today. If tomato is not in my field sufficient quantity, from nearby farmers tomato also I will try to bring. But ultimately, tomorrow you will try to supply more tomato into market. Is it not? Because it is higher price. So you will try to more. But that is happening only tomorrow. Means there is a time lag. If it is an industrial product, suppose you want to supply more industrial product, suppose I am producing a pen. Even for this pen also, you need some processing time. Processing time means production time. Say if I assume hypothetically that you need 1 day time from conversion of from plastic to your producing that pen. Producing pen means it including packaging and bringing time into market. Whole is 1 day, suppose you need. Then also, if you feel that today price is more, tomorrow you will try to supply more into that market. Indirectly, your supply means quantity supplied into market. So supply is a lag function of price. Supply is a lag function of price. Lag means here time lag. Means today's supply, suppose QX is today's supply is dependent on yesterday's price. Today's price is T, suppose PT. PT is today's price. Okay. This PT is today's price and quantity supplied is today's quantity supply. How much quantity I will supply today, that is decided by yesterday's price. This is going to influence. Today's supply will be influenced by yesterday's price. How much price, what was the price prevailed in market yesterday? Based on that one only, I will decide how much quantity I will supply into that market today. So supply is a lag function of price. Price lag here. Time lag or lag function of price, T minus 1. Or today's price will influence tomorrow's supply, T plus Q, T plus 1. T plus 1 is tomorrow. So today's price is going to influence tomorrow's supply. Today, what I said, market price is 60. I am very happy. Whatever I brought into that market, I sold it out. But tomorrow, definitely I will try to bring more tomato into that market. Because today I found 60 rupee, more attractive price. But this is not the case in case of, from consumer's perspective, from demand. This is happening in case of supply. Okay? But in case of demand, this was not the case. In case of demand, what is happening? I went to market with 30 rupee. I found market price is 60. On the spot, I took a decision that I will purchase half kg of tomato. In case of demand, it is spontaneous. Decision is on the spot. No time lag involved. Price is more. I am purchasing half a kg because price is increased from 30 to 60. 30 to 60. Instead of 1 kg, I purchase half kg of tomato. But if price is suppose 15 rupee, immediately I will take a decision that no, I will purchase 2 kg at the rate of 15 kg, 15 rupee per kg. Suppose if price would have been 15, I will purchase 2 kg. But that decision is on the spot decision, spontaneous. But in case of supply is a lag function of price. So anyway, I am not going to discuss demand and supply together, but you need to remember this one in case of demand and supply, because this concept is going to appear here in our discussion. Next class, I will start from here only. I will start next class from here. Okay. If you have any question, you can ask me even now. If you have a question, you can ask me. Let me first download your attendance. I'm going to stop the recording.